The Pixel 11 leaks are here, and while the design may look familiar, that is not necessarily a bad thing. Recent CAD renders for the Pixel 11, Pixel 11 Pro, and Pixel 11 Pro 40 suggest Google is sticking closely to the design. Language introduced with the Pixel 9 series and refined through the Pixel 10 lineup. For some people, that may sound disappointing, but honestly, the Pixel 11 does not need a dramatic redesign. What it needs is something much more important: meaningful upgrades in the areas that still hold. Pixel phones back. Google has already proven that it can make beautiful smartphones. The Pixel design identity is now one of the strongest in Android, with its recognizable camera bar, clean lines, and minimalist styling. The real challenge for the Pixel 11 series is not how it looks, it is how it performs, how long it lasts, how fast it charges, how useful its software feels, and whether Google can finally offer better value out of the box if the latest Pixel 11 leaks are accurate. Google now has a huge opportunity. This could be the generation where Pixel stops being the phone people recommend with a few important caveats and starts becoming a true no-compromise flagship. But to get there, Google needs to fix several long-standing issues. The first and biggest area Google needs to improve is performance. Over the past few years, Tensor-powered Pixel phones have offered a generally smooth day-to-day experience, but they have rarely matched the raw power of competing flagship chipsets from Qualcomm and Media. Last year's Tensor G6 was a major step in the right direction because it finally addressed one of the biggest complaints in Pixel history: overheating. For the first time in a long time, Pixel users could enjoy a phone that stayed cool and consistent under pressure. That was a big win. But it only solved part of the problem. Even though the Pixel 10 series delivered better thermal behavior, benchmark numbers still showed that Google was behind the competition in raw performance. Put the Tensor G6 next to the latest Snapdragon flagship chip, and the gap becomes obvious. Google has never positioned Pixel as a gaming phone, and that is perfectly fine. Not every flagship needs to be built for hardcore mobile gamers. But when rival chips are consistently faster across a wide range of tasks, even in phones that are not gaming-focused, it starts to matter. The Pixel 11 is rumored to use a new Tensor G6 chip built on TSMC's advanced 2nm process, and that could be the breakthrough Google needs. A move to 2nm should improve both performance and efficiency in a meaningful way. If Google can combine the cooler operation of Tensor G6 with a serious jump in speed, the Pixel 11 could finally feel competitive not just in daily use, but in the kind of sustained performance flagship buyers expect in 2026. Battery life is another area where Google needs to do much better. The Pixel 10 lineup delivers solid all-day battery life, and for many users, that is good enough. But good enough is no longer enough in the premium smartphone market. Other brands are now delivering phones that can comfortably last 2 days, and in some cases, even 3 days, on a single charge. That changes user expectations. Once people experience multi-day battery life, it is hard to go back. Google already has one key tool to improve battery life in the Pixel 11 series. The Tensor G6's 2nm architecture should be significantly more power efficient than the previous generation. That alone could make a noticeable difference. But if Google really wants to compete with the best Android phones, it should go a step further and adopt silicon carbon battery technology. Silicon carbon batteries are no longer some niche or experimental upgrade. They are already being used by major smartphone brands, including OnePlus, Honor, Oppo, Xiaomi, and Motorola. This technology allows manufacturers to fit much larger batteries into phones without making them thicker or heavier. That is how brands are now shipping devices with battery capacities well beyond 6,000 mAh, and in some cases, over 7,000 mAh. The Pixel 10 Pro XL topped out at 5,200 mAh. That is no longer impressive in the flagship space. If Google wants the Pixel 11 and Pixel 11 Pro to compete with the best phones of 2026, it needs to offer bigger batteries and better endurance. There is no reason Pixel users should settle for 1 day of battery life when other premium Android phones are delivering much more. And if bigger batteries are coming, then Google also needs to fix charging. Charging has been one of the most frustrating weak points of the Pixel lineup for years. On paper, the numbers already feel underwhelming. The Pixel 10 and Pixel 10 Pro support up to 30 west-wired charging, while the Pixel 10 Pro XL only goes slightly higher at 45 west. In a market where some phones charge dramatically faster, those numbers already look outdated. But in real-world use, the situation is often worse. Pixel phones frequently charge slower than expected, and charging speeds can be inconsistent from one session to the next. That inconsistency has become a real problem. It is not just about chasing the biggest wattage figure for marketing. It is about reliability. If a phone says it supports fast charging, users should be able to count on it actually charging fast when they need it. With Pixel phones, that trust has not always been there. Google must address both speed and consistency with the Pixel 11 series. Competing brands have made huge progress here. OnePlus has offered very fast charging for years. Samsung has now pushed charging higher on its top devices. Even Motorola delivers strong charging speeds on some of its budget phones. Google cannot keep lagging behind, especially if it wants the Pixel 11 lineup. To feel like a true premium experience from top to bottom, software is another area where Pixel has always had an advantage. But even that advantage has started to feel less secure. Pixel-exclusive software features have long been one of the biggest reasons to choose a Google phone. Features like Call Screen, Recorder, Magic Eraser, and now Playing helped Pixel stand out by offering tools that felt smart, practical, and genuinely useful in everyday life. But not every recent software experiment has landed successfully. Some of the most hyped new software additions introduced around the Pixel 10 turned out to be underwhelming. Magic Queue, despite its promise, failed to become a must-have feature for many users. Daily Hub performed so poorly that it was reportedly abandoned almost immediately. Those stumbles raise an important concern for the Pixel 11. Google cannot afford to fill its launch event with flashy software. Features that sound exciting on stage but deliver little real value in daily use. The Pixel 11 needs useful software, not gimmicks. Google's AI capabilities are stronger than ever, and the company has all the ingredients to create amazing Pixel-exclusive experiences. But those features need to be reliable, intuitive, and clearly beneficial. The best Pixel software features are the ones that quietly improve your life without demanding attention. That is the direction Google needs to return to with the Pixel 11 lineup.